These are 10 of the best freestylers in the world, and together with them, I'm going to teach you every reset in Rocket League. My name is Nevee, and I'm a professional freestyler myself.
Madre mía, no se ha podido preparar nada. ¡Qué locura! ¿Qué estoy viendo? ¿Qué estoy viendo?
But before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. Starting off with the regular flip reset. Firstly, we have to get something straight. What is a flip reset? A flip reset is a mechanic that allows you to maintain your flip in the air after your car had all the wheels in contact with any surface without jumping. This means that to get the flip reset of the ball, all of your wheels have to be in contact with the ball. To get the first flip reset, you'll want to drive with the ball towards the wall with a decent pace. Why is the pace so important? Because if you go too fast, the ball might hit the ceiling, or if you go too slow, the ball might drop too fast, making it impossible to continue the shot. After driving up the wall, you'll want to jump a little above the ramp line. A common mistake many beginners do is overspinning with their Aeroh. What you want to do instead is pick a number of spins you will do. It can be either 2, 1, or no spins at all. So just experiment with that and choose which one you find the most effective for yourself. After the spin part, you'll want to tilt your car backwards right before contact with the ball. And then you want to get the reset when the ball is just about to start dropping, not sooner, not later. And with a lot of practice, I'm confident that these tips will help you get your first flip reset. Okay, let's slow it down for a bit. Let me elaborate on some things. I am Nevee, I'm a professional freestyler, and as I said before, this video will teach you to do every reset in Rocket League at the moment. This is the first part out of 2, and the second part will release at the same time 1 week from when this video is published. There were just too many resets to cover in a singular video. Also, a lot of new types of resets have been discovered just in the past year. This makes me think that the tutorial will be outdated in some time, so make sure to notify me in the comments if there are any other resets you would want tutorials for. To help you practice, I also created a training pack that involves all the different setups you might need for different resets. But more about that at the end of the video. I truly tried my best to explain every mechanic in this video, but if there are any questions you have, ask them in the comments as I will read them all. Okay, I'm glad we got this straight. Now let's continue the video. The most similar reset to the regular one is the Arsenal reset. The only thing that changes is the setup and the way you approach the ball to get your reset. Go at a decent pace towards the wall and jump slightly above the ramp line. Nevertheless, this time try to delay your jump so that it's easier for you to catch your reset. Remember how in the regular reset you had to tilt your car backwards right before contact with the ball? Well, the same thing is here, but this time your car is not upside down. It is a reset mostly used in ranked, but when it comes to freestyling, it is commonly used as a mechanic called the Insta-Musty, or Salmon Musty. It's called the Insta-Musty because after the reset you're in a position where you can instantly do a Musty flick from it. I would say this reset is the same difficulty as the regular one, but it is more tricky to get consistent at.
Oh my god. Oh my... wait.
Almond!
Oh
Okay.
my god.
Almond!
Bro.
Almond!
No, Salmon.
When it comes to the stall resets, I believe I'm pretty good at them, but with no doubt, I know someone better than me. A big content creator and an even better freestyler, but more importantly, a world record holder. Welcome, Nixus Earth.
Yo, what up guys? I'm Aeroh. I'm in Team Nixus. I make videos for TikTok. You guys probably seen them. And I have the world record of stall resets in game. And that's what I'm going to teach you guys right now. How to stall reset. Right, so the first thing to learn the stall reset is learning the stall. Many people ask me how my car doesn't just fall down when I'm doing my resets. They just literally don't understand what I'm doing. But it's actually a mechanic that lets your car momentum be canceled mid-air. So your car just stops mid-air. That's a stall essentially. And to do that stall, to do this movement, you gotta learn the tornado flip. So for the tornado, you guys need to hold your directional arrow. It can be left or right, and then you hold your analog to the opposite direction, and it does this tornado movement. So your analog to the left or right, and then your directional arrow to the opposite direction. So that's the movement. You do the tornado movement, and then you jump. That's a tornado flip. It's still not a stall yet, but that's like the essence of the stall, because that's what makes your car's momentum be canceled, because you're holding your analog to one direction and you're holding your directional arrow to the opposite direction, so the car's momentum gets canceled out. And now for the stall, because you can't get a reset with this, you can't get a reset with a stall flip, so we need to shorten that time as much as we can. So what you're gonna do is, for the second step, is do the tornado flip as fast as you can. So it should look like something like this. It's still not perfect yet, but I'm gonna teach you guys right after how to do it. So that's what you guys need to train for the second step, a fast tornado flip. And now to learn the stall perfectly, I'm gonna teach you guys right now the stall cancel, because people think I use macros and stuff like that, but it's not macros. It's called stall cancel. It's like you guys need to train a lot and get the muscular memory for this one. So basically, you're gonna do the tornado flip, but you're gonna cancel with your opposite arrow in like a split second. So I'm using arrow right now to spin. So when I do the tornado flip, I need to cancel with my arrow left. So that's how you should look like. Pretty much this. I'm doing kind of slow for you guys, but that's how you should look. So when you get the muscle memory, you should be doing stalls like this one. Perfect stalls. I'm doing it very, very fast because I have the muscle memory already. I've been doing this for 7 years. So that's how my stall looks so perfect. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys how to do it in the air now. So for beginners, the most common way to learn it is doing Wavedash resets. The Wavedash reset is when you do a tornado spin under the ball and then you stall, essentially, because it makes it easier for you to stall because you're already doing a tornado movement. So it makes it easier for you to stall. So basically on the Wavedash reset, you do a full rotation under the ball, doing a tornado movement, and then you stall. So another common way beginners tend to learn it is doing a ceiling reset. So you essentially just go for a ceiling shot, but instead you stall under the ball. That's how I learned when I started. So basically for this one, you go as if you were going for a ceiling shot, but then you jump off the ceiling, and then you do a stall under the ball. That's the most common way people tend to learn the stall reset. So to practice the movement, you can also do it without the ball. So essentially just go to the ceiling and then you go under the ball and then you stall. And then you'll have a flip and then you can use it. Okay, so to practice the stall, you guys can also go either on Bacchus mod or with the new Rocket League update, you can create a private match with unlimited flips. That's the best way to train stalls. And since Epic Games added this new addition to private matches, even people on console can do it nowadays, because back in the day they couldn't. So pretty much if you're on Bacchus mod, you go right here on free play, and then you activate this box right here called unlimited flips. So now what you guys should do is, okay, and then you go in the net right here inside, and then you just have to stall across the map. And your objective is to get to the other side without touching the ground. That's the best way to train. And for each stall, you should try and get the perfect one and not the tornado one. So always go for a perfect stall when you're training this, when you're doing this training. So, okay, essentially I just did it right now. I managed to do it. So that's your objective. And it's also the best way to warm up your stalls before your training. Okay, so now I'm gonna teach you guys how to get multiple stall resets. The first thing that we need to learn here is if you stall to the right or if you stall to the left. And what do you mean stall to the right and stall to the left? Like me, for example, I use arrow right to stall. So essentially I stall to the right. And there's people that stall to the left, so they use their arrow left to stall. So that's very important to know that if you stall to the right, it's better for you to go on the right wall. And if you stall to the left, you do the opposite. If you stall to the left, you go on the left wall. And I'm going to teach you guys right now why. It's because when you're doing the stall resets, you do a circular setup motion. The setup, it does a circular motion so you can keep getting more resets. So basically you get your first reset and you should boost a bit forward always doing the stall. And when you're stalling to the right, your car will move to the right a little bit as well. So that will help you on the circular setup that we need to get a lot of resets. So essentially, you do a stall, boost forward, and then do another stall, boost forward. And when you keep repeating that, your setup will eventually do a circular motion and you'll be able to get more resets. Because if you just reset forward, just go forward, reset, 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 you're not going to have enough room to do a lot of them. This is what would happen if you just stall forward. You don't have a lot of room to do a lot of them. So that's why we need to learn the circular setup. If you try and go and do resets just going forward and doing stalls, you're not going to be able to get a lot of them. You can get a couple, like I did right now, but you can't get as many. Okay, so 3 common mistakes that beginners usually do when they're learning stall resets is, first of all, going on the wall and then just doing forward setup instead of the circular setup that I teach you guys. So that's something you guys shouldn't do if your objective is to learn how to do multiple stall resets. Mistake number 2 is air rolling too much when you're doing the stall, and then it makes your car bend over to the side, and it makes it very hard for you to get your second reset or your third reset. So make sure your stalls are flat as possible and consistent. You got to keep consistency on the stalls, because if you do one that bends a little bit over, it messes up your entire setup, as you can see right here. That's what most beginners do when they're learning stall resets. So that's something you guys need to work on a lot before going for the shot. So do essentially the stall practice that I told you guys earlier. All right, so mistake number 3 is actually not getting enough high when you're going off the wall. So what you should aim for is always get as close to the ceiling as possible on your setup, so you have more room to do more resets. So that's a very big step, a very big mistake that people do when they're learning stall resets. Okay, so another big tip that I have for you guys, this one is my own tip, something that I used in the past years to improve and to warm up before I started training, is actually, you know how people slow their game down in order to do them? I don't recommend that. What I recommend is actually doing the opposite. So actually you fasten your game up a little bit. It should be around 1.200. You go in Bacchus mod, then current game, and you can switch it right here, game speed, to 1.200. So what it's gonna do is you're gonna make your game faster. Then you should train for about 15 minutes, just going off the wall and doing resets as you normally would. And then after 15 minutes to 20 minutes, you will put the game speed back to normal, and you will actually feel like slow motion. It's a placebo effect that it does in your brain when you switch the speed back to normal, that it actually makes it feel like slow motion, and it actually makes you play better. I do that before I start playing. Even when I'm playing ranked, I do it before, or when I'm doing freestyle. So that's a very good way to warm up. So you boot up your game, you're washed, and then you just do this. It's a very good tip, and I recommend you guys trying it for yourselves. Like it actually feels like slow motion right now, and I played for like 10 seconds.
The Heli Reset was popularized by a player Gainer back around 2018 to 2019, and it was a variation of the regular stall reset that Earth has just shown. Instead of staying in one position, he started doing the stalls while spinning like a helicopter. Hence, it's called the Heli Reset. Now, how do you do it? Firstly, you will have to learn the motion. To do that, jump, turn your car upside down using Aeroh, hold driving either left or right, and stall. When you stall, you want to press the Aeroh for as short as it's possible, because in Heli Resets you want your car to constantly be flat. However, slight imperfections are almost inevitable, meaning that your car won't always be flat. So to get in the flat position, you need to use the opposite Aeroh to do a perfect heli stall. In simpler terms, if you accidentally Aeroh too much using Aeroh right, then you can cancel it out using Aeroh left, which would put you back into the flat position. When you Aeroh too much when stalling, it can mess up your stance, causing you to not get more resets. Once you get better at that, I have a good tip. If you have Bacchus mod, turn on unlimited flips for this, as it will simplify a lot of things. On almost every Rocket League map, you will find a circle around where the ball typically is. Now I want you to get to the ceiling and start doing the same stall motion you've practiced, but while moving around the big circle. One of the most important factors when it comes to heli resets is balancing around the center of the ball. This little drill will not only teach you to do the heli stalls in the air, but also teach you to balance using your boost. Now, let's get to the setup. I'll teach you the simplest way that is the most commonly used. Firstly, you should learn the inverted tornado spin. To do the inverted tornado spin, you want to get in the air, position your car with its nose pointing upwards, then hold Aeroh left and steering left at the same time, or the other way, so holding Aeroh right and steering right. You'll use that for the setup because it's easier to get the first reset smoothly and then transition from that to spinning like a helicopter. Now, getting into the actual setup. You want to drive up the ball with a decent pace and hit the ball straight up. That is because you don't want the ball to go towards any particular direction, as it will make it harder for you to follow. If you hit it too far forward, the ball will be sort of running away from you and you will just keep getting further from the net. When you go for the first reset, you should already start spinning in the direction you will do helis in. At first, I wouldn't recommend spamming the heli stalls, but trying to make it as controlled as you can. However, you still want to stay as close to the ball as you can. You do not want to get distant from the ball because you will eventually run out of space for your resets. And of course, I'm teaching you guys the most common setup that is most commonly used by freestylers. But if you want to see some other setups that people do, then they're gonna pop up on the screen right now. I don't particularly recommend learning them, but some of them look pretty cool, so now, I think a good idea is to teach you from my own mistakes that I made when learning helis. So let's analyze this clip from 3.5 years ago and see what I did wrong. Now, I immediately noticed the main issue is in the setup. I hit the ball too far forward and it was constantly moving away from me throughout the shot. Another mistake that I made was not using the inverted tornado spin that I taught you. This just made the spinning really rough, and it was kind of harder for me to transition from the air rolling part into the heli spinning part, if you know what I mean. I also jumped too late, which caused more distance between me and the ball, and you don't want that. You want to stay closer to the ball. I also noticed another mistake on the third reset, which was stalling too quickly. It's also connected to the mistake from the setup because I stalled too soon and the ball just kept moving away from me due to how I hit it at the beginning. When it comes to rapid resets and no stalls, I can name a couple players who are really good at them, but personally, this guest's clips I enjoy the most. I feel like it's mostly due to how clean his movement and his flips feel. A competitive clip hitter for Pulse Clan with very advanced mechanics who commonly streams his gameplay on Twitch. Please welcome Post Madmax.
I'm going to be showing you guys how to rapid reset. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically just flipping to the ball rather than stalls. Something like this, right? I'm a Pulse player, comp clip hitter. I've been playing this game since 2016 and I have like 10,000 plus hours. So I'm pretty experienced when it comes to this stuff. Basically, you're going to want to break it into parts. One really important thing is the setup, how you set it up. Make sure you're not ignoring that because I feel like a lot of people just rush the setup. Make sure the setup's easy. And then the next part is where you want to hit the ball with your car, right? So you're going to want to be aiming more on the outside, whereas for stall resets, you want to go under it, right? So you can stall into it. For rapids, you want to make sure you're going on the outside so you can use the flip momentum to cancel into it. And then from there, it's all about just flip control. And all honesty, flip control just comes with time, so don't get too hung up over it if you're not able to get it right away. It took me a while to get it. And then for the flip motion, you're going to be doing like a speed flip cancel is the way you want to think about it. It's not the same every time, so don't like be too precise about it. You just want to go into free play and mess around with it. But basically, it kind of looks like this if you were to do it on the ground. So you get the reset, flip like that. Get the reset, flip like that. And you're really kind of like slightly canceling so your wheels will align with the ball by the time it comes down to you. Something like this. So you get the reset, cancel, uncancel. It's kind of how I go about it, right? And it's not going to be the same flip every time, right? It's a little dynamic, so just mess around with it. Like I said, it takes time. All right, now for the setup, you're going to want to try to reach it at its apex like that. So now it's following. So now I can flip into it. And like what I said at the start, you want to make sure you're aiming on the outside of the ball. So I'm hitting it, aiming for about right there, right? About on the lower third. So something around, I'll show you. something around here, right? So that way you can flip back into it. And you don't want to go for it too late, so you go like this. All right, oh, I gotta get it. Oh, it's gonna be harder, right? That's why I said the setup's important. Now for the learning experience, basically for me personally, it's just something that happened naturally, because I've been playing this game forever now, right? So I was kind of like one of the first people even doing rapid resets, and it just came about just messing around, messing with the flip. Like say I messed up a stall reset, which is what, you know, originally everyone was doing. I'd flip into the ball, and just over time I kind of just learned how to control that, and just spend a lot of time practicing. Like I said, it's just a lot of time. You're not gonna be able to do it overnight, so yeah, just make sure you're just practicing the flip control. I'd recommend doing it with the ball. Like, you can do it on the ground, but it's just not the same thing, right? I'd always recommend just doing it with the ball. And once you guys start to get a little bit more advanced, and you want to chain more of them, start thinking about it going at a different angle. What I mean by that is, on this one, I'm not going at the net, I'm kind of starting, you know, at the midfield, so I'm doing like a 90-degree turn. Just like hitting it up, getting it, and now I'm going into it, right? And once you get good at that, doing it from the wall, the most advanced way you can do it is from the corner. Basically, this is just doing a full 180. So I'll flip, still making sure I'm on the outside, flip in, flip in, flip in, and yeah. And then once you get more advanced, it starts to become more of a front flip, I've noticed throughout my time doing it. So rather than a speed flip, like once you're starting to do a lot, it's like more of a front flip like this. Still with, you know, some like diagonals, but like the really good people, you'll notice it's like more of a front flip motion. Like that, basically. And for a list of like common mistakes, overboosting, and this is just for myself personally, I've noticed whenever I was practicing it, I would hold down boost a lot. And when you're doing it, you gotta think you're flipping, right? And flipping, you know, obviously pushes your car forward, right? With momentum. So you don't really need a whole lot of boost. Like, for example, like I can do like this, where I'm just tapping, tapping. See, I overboosted there, so now I'm ahead of it, and it makes it harder. Because you really want to make sure you're behind the ball, because, you know, you're going to be carrying your momentum with the flips. And just make sure you're not overboosting. Make sure you're not taking too long. You want it to be like one fluid motion. So when I'm going for one, I'm kind of leading into the next one. So like, I hit it up, get one, I'm leading into it, leading into it, leading into it, right? Like that. Yeah, that's really about it for that. And also, I'd say make sure you're like going with your directional. I've seen some people like say I'm Aeroh right, so I'm gonna want to go from the right corner. I've seen people like go from the left corner and try to do something wacky like this, right? You want to make sure you're going with your Aeroh direction, depending on which one you're using. So like if I was Aeroh left, I'd be going from the left wall, but since I'm right, I go from this wall. Because I'm going like this, right? You want to go with your Aeroh direction. Besides that, that's really all the mistakes. And it's just at the end of the day, just practice, 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 because it's all about the flip control that you can, you know, master over time. And that just takes pure time and muscle memory and experimenting on your own. And if I were to summarize all of what I said into 3 tips, basically, setup's really important. Don't forget about that. Just really like to hammer that home, because some people just rush their setup and make things harder for themselves. 3 big tips: make sure you're not overboosting. Think about where you're hitting the ball with your car and the flip control. That's purely it. It's nothing that too complicated. It's just a lot of practice, really. And just experimenting on your own, because you can't just learn flip control by watching someone. For example, you gotta just go into free play, hop in here, just, alright, I'm gonna do some rapids, learn how to do them. And it just takes time. Oh, and one last thing, I didn't really mention how to get consistent at it. And it's gonna sound like a broken record, right? But it really is just constant practice, and think while you're doing it. That's like the best way I improve, was just practice and thinking about what I'm doing wrong. And it sounds simple, but I feel like a lot of people kind of just autopilot. And also watching someone else who's good at it, that really helped me too. Like, just taking ideas from, like, say that Aether guy when he was doing a lot. Like, when I wanted to do a lot, I would just take ideas from him, basically, and like look at how he was flipping. And yeah, pretty much it.
When it comes to the more stylish flip resets, the Muirie Reset is with no doubt the easiest to learn. This reset is essentially just a backflip reset that was named after the player Miracles. There are 2 ways to do it, so let me cover both. The first way is to do it with a full rotation. You want to get to the ceiling normally and start tilting your car backwards, And at the point where the nose of your car is facing the camera, that is when you will want to do a regular backflip. Ideally, you want to do the backflip just slightly below the ball. This reset is pretty much all about precision and timing, and I truly believe that with enough practice, all of you watching this tutorial will be able to do it. You can also do it from a regular reset, the same way. Now, when it comes to the second way, you can do a backflip cancel. To do it, go to the ceiling the same exact way, but start tilting forwards. When the nose of your car is facing the camera, that's when you will want to do a backflip. Here, in some cases, flip cancelling may be necessary to make your flip a bit longer. To delay the backflip, just press steering forward for a short bit. You can also do it from regular flip reset. It's up to you. Like every mechanic, you will learn it with time. To practice, we'll do both flips on the ground before you try it in the air. And that is how to do the backflip reset, aka the Muirie Reset. The Jakze Reset is one of the most versatile resets as it allows you to flip into the ball from almost any position you're in. Jakze himself never claimed this reset, but the community started calling it so because he commonly used that flip to catch up with the ball. A lot of tutorials might tell you to rotate 90 degrees to the side, which is a common mistake. Instead of using regular Aeroh, use inverted tornado spin, as the front of your car will be pointing downwards, which really helps in this flip. If you rotate by 90 degrees with regular Aeroh, you will almost never end up flat, which requires a lot of playing around with Aeroh after the flip. This reset is very similar to the Heli Reset, but just done with a flip. Once you rotate your car with the inverted tornado spin, do a front flip cancel and press steering towards the direction you rotated on the flip. In other words, if you rotate like me to the left, then also hold steering left. In addition to that, you just want to tap a little bit of Aeroh. If you use the tip I gave at the beginning, then tapping the Aeroh should be enough to keep your car flat. This is what the flip should look like. For the more advanced, the Jakze Reset is key for boost management. It is one of the only mechanics you can do that you shouldn't be using almost any boost on. Because of how much you accelerate with that flip, no boost is needed, which is important to remember if you want to improve your in-game mechanics. The most common setup in freestyling at the moment is the Wavedash Reset, Jakze Reset combo. If you don't know how to dash reset like on the screen, then it will be explained thoroughly later into the video. The reason why this reset combo works so well is because the dash creates space between you and the ball, and by doing the Jakze Reset you can easily just flip back. This reset is so versatile that you can do it from a lot of different setups, so here you can see a few on the screen. One major advice from me is rely more on the flip cancel motion rather than the air rolling. If you position yourself well, then you shouldn't need much of it, and just tapping it should be enough. Arguably a top 5 freestyler of all time, his creativity has completely shifted the freestyle scene, still leaving a continuous impact through 2 of the resets he invented. He fully mastered the art of movement as well as flip cancels, which makes him one of my personal favorite freestylers. And his name is Maktuf.
Okay, so I am Maktuf. Pools Maktuf, however you want to call me. I play for Pools Clan. I've been playing for Pools Clan for like maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't know. It's been a while. And I invented the Maktuf Reset. And the Maktuf Reset, as you all know, is this really weird mechanic that everybody just kind of spams nowadays. But we'll learn it today. Okay, so let's start. How to do it. The Maktuf Reset, usually the first way people learn it is just this normal way. You get a really basic reset, you tilt back, and then you cancel into that second reset. The second way you do it, and I'm going to show you both of course, is the 360. So you get a reset, the setup into the reset is a tiny bit different, and then you go for that reset. Now, there's a couple of differences between each. The flip is gonna be the same, but the setup, the way you get into the ball, the way you approach the initial position for the flip are gonna be a little bit different. So let's start with the first one, the normal Maktuf reset. So the normal Maktuf reset is usually the easier one to learn because there's tons of different variations of it. You can exaggerate the flip cancel, you can do it with a little bit of a less exaggerated flip cancel, and you can still get it. What do I mean by this? So sometimes, if you want to learn about flip cancels, there's tons of videos, there's one by me, so it's hard to explain flip canceling, but when you do a really exaggerated flip cancel, what I mean by this is you're doing a cancel and there's very little Aeroh added to it. You're basically tapping your Aeroh and you're using a lot of that side motion to actually do the flip. When you're not doing a too exaggerated flip cancel, then what I mean by this is that you're basically doing like more of that back flip motion rather than that side movement from the cancel. You're basically doing this, that's it. It's a very quick cancel from the side. Now, with a very exaggerated motion, you're doing almost like a Heli-like movement. And so those are the two different, not variations, but the two extents of the flip making. So whenever you go for this flip, you want to either make it look more of like a backflip, like this, where you're very, very close to the ball and it's a very quick shot, or you go very far back, like that, and then you go for this really long cancel in order to catch the ball at this for the second reset. So first one is going to be more like a backflip. That's the one I see people do the most, and it's easier for people to kind of comprehend because it's easier to understand the position you're in. I'll show you the positions in a bit, but that's the cancel. So it's basically just a backflip here, and then you get the reset. Now, the extended position for the exaggerated flip, the nose is going to be pointing down a little bit more, and with your car rotated a little bit more, with the belly looking upwards. So it will look something like this. So this is the extended flip. There we go. So that's how I kind of really like to do it. There we go. You'll see that the movement here is I get the reset, then I extend my nose all the way back. I'm all the way here, kind of rotated. And then the only time I really use Aeroh is here. So I flip, Aeroh, that's it. Now it's all canceling. And then the other one, which is more like a backflip, you get into this position. There we go. Now here the nose is almost pointed upwards entirely, and there's barely any Aerohing or barely any movement of the nose extending to the side. So that's kind of how you'll get it both ways. The flip itself, you can really just practice it in the ground. I prefer to do big jumps and then just trying to do this quick movement. So a backflip, it doesn't matter which direction you practice it, it's pretty much the same. So just making sure that you can get the nose pointing upwards a little bit into the side. Doesn't matter if you do it lower or higher. It just matters that you end up flat. And not only flat, but really important tip is you end up flat and diagonal. That's something that a lot of people don't actually realize about resetting, is that the second reset, you will always get it diagonally. So you want to make sure that the reset is diagonal. You're not necessarily trying to do a completely flat reset like that. So once you've practiced this reset off the ground, then you really just have to practice the movement off of the reset. And the reset is the one that you've always been taught. Just a very basic reset like this, completely straight. The movement to get into the position is super simple. The movement here always is going to be moving your stick up with a little Aeroh. If you're using Aeroh left, you're going to be using Aeroh left for the setup and then flipping with Aeroh right. If you're using Aeroh right, then you're going to be using Aeroh right for the movement and Aeroh left for the flip. So Just take that into account, because you will need 2 arrows. And the movement is really simple. You basically just have to move your stick up and to the right if you're using arrow left, and up and to the left if you're using arrow right. Off of this that I just taught you, you're gonna learn how to do 3 things, because this is the easy thing. It's getting the reset, getting into this position, and flipping. The difficult part here is that you actually aim for the ball. You actually get the reset. Because sometimes you're going to try to do it and you're going to end up doing things like this and, oh my god, I suck, I'm just so bad, but it's really not that. The thing that matters the most here is that you manage your boost properly. So anytime you go for one of these resets, you're going to notice that if you go a little too far forwards in the first reset, so the ball is very close to you, then, of course, you're not going to want to boost forwards. So I need to actually take a step back, boost backwards a little bit, and then go for it. This is a very close shot. So here, if I try to do it, I'm never going to get it. So notice how when I use boost, you're always going to be using boost in 2 separate occasions. Either using boost when you're in this position, so boosting backwards, or using boost when you flip forwards. And so whenever the ball is very close to you, you're just going to boost backwards, get into position, and then go for it. Because otherwise you can't. You literally can't. There you go. Notice how I'm always boosting backwards. In this specific scenario, I have to boost backwards. That's the only way I can really get it. And then you go into another scenario where the ball is very far away from you. So here, for example, the ball is very far away from you. So if I ever boost backwards right here, I can't get it. It's horrible. It doesn't work. So now you have to be able to boost forwards. And when do you boost forwards? 2 times. Here on the very first reset and on the flip itself. So here you're never going to be seeing me boost backwards. And then through the flip, I'm boosting forwards again. But that's pretty much it. So once you've learned how to do the flip in the ground, then you're going to try and get the reset. Move your stick in the directions I told you, sometimes with a little bit of arrow, sometimes without. And then you're going to practice how to get consistent at boosting backwards, boosting forwards throughout the positions. But the movement is never going to change. That's what matters here. Just super quickly, guys, as we're talking about these more backflip type shots, if you're not actually canceling the flip and you're not using Aeroh through the flip cancel and it's not a sideways movement, so if you're not seeing the car move all the way from the side into the ball and you're basically just doing a backflip, then it's really just a Muirie Reset. So it's kind of like this. So that's really not a Maktuf, because there's no side movement, there's no canceling, there's no Aeroh. So that's the only really big difference between both of them. Now, that's for the first one. That's usually why that one is easier for people to understand, because it's very straightforward. If you want to control the flip forwards or backwards, you boost forwards or backwards. Now, in the 360 Maktufs, the really hard part about it is that you're freaking spinning. So, what the fuck? Let's first talk about the setup. So just getting that first initial reset. What's going to be the difference? Now, here it's very important to look at my controller and understanding how your car moves. When you're going for a normal reset, you'll usually see people try and go for a reset where they'll rotate 180 and then they tilt back. Now that's okay, that's fine, but there's no using that side movement that you want initially. You want to make use of momentum, so you want to actually reach for the ball while you're also spinning. So you always want to get to the ball while spinning. So here's the difference. So one is completely straight and the other is going to be, so the one that we're going to use for 360s is going to be like this. So notice how I get that reset from the side, but it's not from the side. It's just that as I'm tilting back, I'm also using this side component to start moving in that direction. And then I can actually get into position a lot quicker. It's just going to be way easier to work with that kind of movement. And to do so, you really just need to work on these two things. So you're gonna need to use inverted tornado spin to actually start opening up the belly for the reset. And then as you open up the belly for the reset, so say you're doing this, and then you're gonna tilt back. So you're gonna be like this, you're gonna basically turn around, and at some point during that turnaround, you're just gonna keep on spinning. So look at my stick and you're gonna see how I do that little setup. It's right, down, right. And that's the setup. That's a really, really basic setup. It's just so that you can start with momentum in your side, like that. Okay, and now let's get into the flip itself. Now the flip itself is gonna look something like this. Okay, so the flip is basically like this. You're spinning around. The first movement that you're gonna do is aeroing. So when you aero, two things are gonna happen. You're gonna rotate 90 degrees, of course, and the second thing is your nose is gonna tilt up. You're basically just pressing aeroh and you'll get into this position. And then once in that position, you're gonna do a backflip, cancel, with that side movement. And once you do that, you're also gonna apply a little bit of aeroh. There you go. So it's something like that. So you're basically just spinning around, you're waiting for your card to get into somewhere in this position, doesn't really matter too much. And then once you're here, you backflip and use a tiny bit of aeroh. Now it's gonna look like that. Now the movement, you're gonna notice, is pretty much the same every single time. So let's do it in the opposite side. There we go. It's the exact same. Here, I'm moving my stick all the way to the right. Then here, I'm pressing aeroh right. Then here, I'm already moving my stick all the way down, very, very quickly, so that I can do the backflip. And then, as soon as I do the backflip, now I'm canceling. And in this case, I'm canceling with my stick to the right. And then you're gonna also notice that at the very end, so I use aeroh right to put myself into position, and then aeroh left to actually do the final adjustment. There's a little aeroh adjustment, the backflip, and then that little aeroh adjustment at the end, so that you can get that diagonal position. So a little bit of aeroh right, backflip cancel with my stick to the right side, and then notice how here, if I were to continue the movement, my nose would end up going in that way. So I use a little bit of aeroh, and now I'm diagonal, just a little bit. And the same thing goes for the other side. So if we're trying it from this side, again, there we go. There we go. Try and do that for eternity, and if you can get it in the ground, you can get it in the air. Now the air, the thing about the air, and we talked about it before, is really just the boost management. That's it. So anytime you get the flip, if you're failing at it, it's either because you're not close enough to the ball sometimes and you can't really reach it, but for the most part it's just going to be that boost management. That's really it. So there I noticed that I'm pretty close to the ball, so then I boost backwards and I flip into the ball right there. But it's really just that. There's really not much else I can teach you about both resets. You have to get the movement right before doing the flip. Once you get the movement right, you're gonna do the flip. And that is never gonna change. Once you get that, then you can start learning how to position yourself in the air through the reset, like through the whole setup. And it's all about practicing the boost management and of course the setup, which is really hard to get that first reset consistently and actually avoiding any recoil or stuff like that. As for mistakes, there's really very few things that I see. For example, aeroing too much. So sometimes you're gonna aeroh too much and you're gonna see this very weird movement where you have to go all the way back into the ball. Like it's a full rotation, and sometimes you end up doing like diagonal resets even. So it's not working because the belly is completely in the completely opposite side of the ball. Like here, for me to do the reset, I have to... It's really, really hard. So you never want to do this. Basically, have the belly completely opposite, in completely opposite direction of the ball, facing away from the ball. If the belly is facing away from the ball, then that's your first mistake. You want the belly to be pretty close to the ball so that the movement is pretty straightforward. And now for advanced players, if you want to do it like Nevee, the only thing that you really need to start doing is one, using a little bit less Aeroh at the very end to actually... So if you're using too much Aeroh at the very end, like this, so I do the flip cancel, I Aeroh a little bit too much and then a diagonal. Now that's gonna get me a reset like this. There you go. So it's pretty straightforward, a normal reset. Now if I don't use a lot of Aeroh and I actually maintain the flips pretty much flat, then I can actually start getting the resets very flat. And if you get them very flat, you can actually start chaining them the way Nevee does. Here I'm very bad at it, so you can show a Nevee clip. But that's kind of what's happening. You're using way less Aeroh, you're doing it way quicker, and so you're getting the resets very flat, and anytime you get them flat, the ball is gonna go backwards, and as it's gone backwards, you don't have to do that 180 rotation. It's already backwards, so you can actually flip instantly into it, and then you can do it again. You can flip into it. You don't have to wait because you're getting the reset flat, the ball is already back, and you can avoid that 180 rotation that you usually do and then flip into it again. That's kind of how you get that really quick rotation and Maktuf resets. If you see that Nevee clip and you wonder how that works, I think that's how it works, and it's really just spamming the heck out of that very clean and quick cancel with really barely any Aerohing involved. And yeah, that's how you do the Maktuf resets. Hope that helps. It was a pleasure being in this video, and you should comment down below if it's something that you're struggling with, or if it's something that maybe now you're not struggling with because of this really freaking insanely good tips that I just gave you. So hit a like and subscribe, and hopefully all these tutorials help you. Bye guys, see you. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you, Nevee.
Now, I wanted to add on to what Maktuf said. There are tons of variations of the Maktuf resets due to how many cool movements you can do before the flip. But some people, like for example powh's madmax, do their Maktufs with diagonal flips. To do it, you want to position your car like for the regular Maktuf reset, but with your car rotated normally and not upside down. Ideally, you would like the left front wheel to be slightly lower, but it's not a necessity. And if your positioning was correct, then after a regular back diagonal, you should be right under the ball to catch your reset. Even though it's cool, I wouldn't call it a Maktuf reset though, but more like a reverse rapid or diagonal reset. Maktufs are all backflip cancels, and here you do a diagonal flip. Just wanted to bring it up and show you that a reset like that exists because of how cool it is. Moving on to the next reset, which is the jump of the ball reset. And yes, I couldn't find any better name for it, since jump reset is another way some people call all flip resets. In this reset, you essentially just jump off the ball. You know how on every surface, like the ceiling or the wall, when you single jump, you have 1.5 seconds to do your flip. The same thing is here. You stick all your wheels on the ball, and that exact moment, you want to press jumping. This reset is very easy, but it's all about the timing of when you jump. If you jump too early, as you can see, it won't work. And same for when you jump too late. The only real tip I can give here is that the longer you press the jump button, the further you will jump off the ball. Meaning if you just tap the jump button, you will do a little mini jump. Whereas if you press the jump button for a bit longer, you will jump a little further. And both are pretty much acceptable. They just both depend on the scenario you're in and what you want to do after the reset. That is because if you want to do a flip with a longer motion like a Maktuf reset, you might want to press the jump button for a bit longer so that you create more space. Other than that, It is just about the timing of your jump. This guest used to be a really mechanical freestyler, but then switched his style to competitive clip hitting, and he was the second CCH to ever join Team Nytro. Because of his freestyling past, he became one of the most mechanical comp clip hitters in the world, who genuinely understands flip cancels better than everyone else. Please welcome Nytro powh.
My name is powh. I'm a part of Team Swift, Nytro, Freeze, Made in Heaven, yeah. Some other achievements I've had is getting in the top 4 of Best CCH of 2024 in the awards hosted by Project Unity. I'm going to teach you guys how to do the Muirie cancel, which is this mechanic. And this is how you do the mechanic in the shower. Yeah, alright, so step for step, yeah. You want to tap your Aeroh until you could turn your car around. You want to hold Aeroh until you turn your car around in the air. And then you're gonna backflip cancel. Or if you're not experienced yet, you just backflip. Then you try to point your stick upwards so you cancel it. And to do the little spin motion, you just gotta tap one of the arrows and take your stick a little bit to the side. Another little tip that could help you is that you want to do a little reverse tornado spin when you're air rolling on the Muirie cancel. You want to get a reset where you create a little bit of space between you and the ball. You want to get into this position, and then from that position you're gonna have to flip and do a Muirie, but instead of doing a normal Muirie where you directly flip backwards, you want to tap a little bit of Aeroh and rotate your stick a little bit so you create a little bit of a spin. My learning process was literally just being able to do the Muirie reset, but instead of doing a normal Muirie where I just backflip cancel like that, or just backflip, I added a little bit of sass to it and did a little spin like that. To learn how to chain the Muirie cancel, you have to be able to put your car into the same exact position as in the first reset. So what you want to do is you want to repeat the exact same motion every single time you do the reset. So the first reset, you do it this, yeah? Second reset, you do the exact same thing. And then you repeat it and repeat it. And after you flip, you want to aim to hit exactly under the ball to create as much space as possible for the next reset. Another way to practice this mechanic is by turning on unlimited flips and just flip canceling or getting into the same motion, doing the same motion, again and again and again across the map like this. This mechanic is a little bit hard, and it's probably very hard for people who doesn't understand basic flip cancels, but in my opinion, it's very easy, or not very easy, but it's pretty easy as long as you are pretty good at canceling and at being consistent at Muirie Resets. My name is powh, and thank you for watching. Powh.
Now, the other variation of this reset can be done by doing a full rotation. Similarly to the Muirie reset, you can do the Muirie cancel either with a cancel like Nytro powh just explained, or with a full rotation like on this clip. I believe I was the first one to do this reset, not off the ceiling in game, but I took the idea from Maktuf, so both variations are very similar, but here after the first reset, you want to start tilting backwards and flip when your car is facing the camera. Then it's the exact same thing, you cancel the flip and add inverted tornado spin to catch the reset. The only tip that I can give here is that you want to get the first reset more quickly because that will create more space. And you want space because the motion is quite long due to the full rotation. Front flip reset might just be the easiest way to get a reset using a flip, maybe after no stalls. Here, all you do is literally just front flip like this. You don't even need to cancel the flip in any way. The only tricky part about it is getting into the position for the flip. After you catch the first reset, you want to flip your car the opposite way with Aeroh and just front flip. The only thing you have to ensure is that the car is flat because you don't want it to be tilted in any way. That way you can get a clean front flip reset. The good thing about this reset is that you can implement it into various reset chains, but more importantly, you're instantly in the position for a multi-flick. When it comes to chaining it, it's all about getting it to that same position each time. Have a go and try it yourself. That is all the tips I can give you. The Wavedash Reset is potentially the most useful to learn as it is so common in modern freestyling. Almost every reset shot nowadays starts with a dash reset due to how easy it is to start a reset chain with. But what is a Wavedash Reset and how does it work? Well, the most commonly used dash reset is done with a side flip, meaning that the moment your car is literally stuck to the ball, you do a side flip. Due to the ball being so close to the car, the motion of the side flip gets cancelled, making you do a wave dash on the ball. And the same thing is with a regular wave dash on the ground. You do a flip and it cancels out due to how close you are to the surface. But let's discuss how to do it in the air. Firstly, what I recommend is practicing the rotation into that side flip dash on the ground, as you will get more used to doing it in the air. You want to drive up the wall at a decent pace and do that side flip right when your car is right next to the ball. Now, that was the most common way to do a dash reset, but there are obviously tons of other ways, so let me cover some of them. Another way to dash reset is to do it from an arsenal reset setup. You tilt your car slightly backwards and then backflip to do a wave dash. This way of dashing is quite underrated because you can do so many various mechanics after it. I don't know what it is about this dash reset, but it gives you a ton of space after it. There's also this way, which is mainly about going from the opposite side wall to your Aeroh. So if your Aeroh left, then go from the right wall, and it will look sort of like this. It just pops the ball really high. And the last point I will bring up is that the dash reset is commonly used when you have a flip and have a really controlled air dribble. For example, after a post setup. When you have enough control, then you can get under the ball and wave dash in a bunch of different ways to pop the ball up and still maintain control. So that is how you dash reset. I hope I could help. It's time for the last guest in this video. He is one of the fastest improving freestylers I have ever seen. He came out of nowhere and started scoring shots others could only dream of. He quickly became one of the best current solo freestylers in the world, and now he develops his social media accounts posting various freestyle challenges. Welcome, Aeroh.
Hello everyone, my name is Aeroh. I make Rocket League freestyle challenge videos and I've been freestyling since November of 2018. The Multidash reset is mostly about timing and side flip spamming. This type of reset is very difficult and a lot of people tend to get it wrong. So let me teach you how to do it right. To start off, I'd recommend going up the wall and kind of hitting the ball up, like more upwards, so that you can start the setup. Once you got that down, try to practice doing a single wave dash reset on the ball like so. And try practicing that a few times and just get the feel of it. Okay, when you start to get the feel of that, try to start spamming wave dashes on the ball. Try to get 2 and then 3 and then so on. But you need to be pressing your buttons pretty quickly. You need to be pressing the jump button quite quickly. But don't press it too fast, because if you press it too fast, you're probably going to jump off the ball like this. Like that. You're going to jump off the ball if you press it too fast. So try to find a good pace to press the jump button. This way you will be able to get more dashes and yeah. Alright, to get the most dashes, I recommend not braking when you go up the wall and not hitting the ball too far out, if that makes sense. For me, this mechanic did take a few weeks to learn, and I learned it by just going up the wall and trying to do as many dashes as I can, starting off with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and so on. And if I'd get lucky, sometimes I would get like 9 wave dashes, but that was pretty rare. Now, if you want to do something after the dashes, then you have to stop at some point. So if you don't stop, eventually you're going to side flip into nothing. So once you get the hang of this mechanic, you can just dash and then stop whenever you like. So right there, I got 4, and I just stopped at 4 because it still makes for a very interesting shot. And then you can do whatever you want after that. Now, some common mistakes that people do when they're learning is they go too above the ball. You need to be right in the middle of the ball, and yeah. Another common mistake is putting the ball too far out from the setup. Now, if you do this, it's going to be really hard to getting even like 2 dashes because the ball is like kind of having a little bit too much momentum. Also, make sure that you're not spamming the button either too slowly or too fast. You have to find a pretty fast pace to spam the ball with. Make sure it's not too fast or too slow. Now, to practice this, make sure you go up the wall without breaking, make sure you don't hit the ball too far out, and make sure you have a good pace of spamming wave dashes. Now, a lot of people spam their wave dashes with their joystick, but you can also spam with the air roll button. So if you want to, you can do either of those. And make sure to stop boosting when you're doing the dashes, because if you boost, it could ruin it. After you're done doing the dashes, you can freely boost and score whatever you want. When you're going for the first Wavedash reset, make sure you're not air rolling too far, because if you do that, then you won't be able to get multiple dashes.
Now, I believe Aeroh's advice was great, but an important point to bring up is that the setup for the multi-dashes is slightly different from a regular dash reset. It may not be that visible, but in multi-dashes you want to delay the flip by a fraction of a second so that you're a bit higher than in a normal dash reset. It may not feel like a good tip, but in this type of reset it is genuinely all about a perfect setup, spamming side flips and knowing when to stop. So if you're struggling, try to wait that tiny bit longer and then spam the dashes. That's what worked for me when I first learned it. It takes a ton of practice and muscle memory, so don't expect it to work instantly. Before we get to the last reset of the video, I'd like to quickly tell you about the training pack that I made for y'all. It is a training pack made specifically for freestyling, with setups that you can do various types of resets from. It consists of 25 shots, and if you're confused what each shot is for, then you can pause the video and see. The code for it can be found in the description, as well as on the screen right now. If you want to, then try it for yourself. Now it's time for the ultimate reset. The pancake is quite difficult to teach. Getting the reset itself is really easy, however, controlling the power you approach the ball at so that it sticks to your car perfectly is very tricky. The pancake is a reset in which you squash the ball between the backboard and your car, which gives you a reset. You want your car to be exactly on the middle of the ball, because that's how you get that perfect squash. The more you accelerate, the higher you will bounce off the ball. Hence, you want to make the air dribble rather slow and controlled. If you wish to practice the pancake, a good tip is to roll the ball like on this clip, a bit off the curve of the corner so that it rolls up to the backboard. Once it rolls up, jump and try to get a perfect pancake. This actually used to be a fairly popular setup a long time ago.
Quarterfinals is gonna have fun with this and just do something ridiculous. Wow, what a game! What a game! And he's still going, man. Like, this is so. Oh my god! Playing with his food at this point.
The pancake can also be done with a dash on the ball, a stall, or even a perfect flip. They're all generally similar. It's about getting that perfect squash, which is quite difficult to control. This reset is all about precision, and even though it's fairly easy, it's not easy to be consistent at. Now that was 16 different types of flip resets out of 37. As mentioned earlier, the project is divided into 2 parts, as the video would be too long if I were to cover them all in one. My intention behind this project was to create a video that could be used for the entirety of this game's existence. I wanted to demonstrate how much freestyling has evolved and how many unique mechanics have been invented by the community. Since I am able to do every reset myself after a few years of practicing, I wanted to pass down all my knowledge and the best tips I could give so that everyone who just started their journey with freestyling can improve at a much higher rate. Huge shout out to every guest that appeared and for their efforts put into this project. The next part, which comes out exactly 1 week from this video's release, will also feature several iconic players, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.